well, I wonder if I can do that myself. How many pull-ups do I need to hit? How far do I have to run? How many push-ups, sit-ups, the full span of requirements. So when we did the training together, I basically made it my goal as well to, all right, this was the minimum number, this was the maximum number. I'm going to work towards that maximum number.
Gotcha.
And I just took that. I think we trained for 6 months. In those 6 months, I just drove it hard for that. Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of Inspired by the Inspired. This is amazing.
Seems like it takes forever, and then
Yeah,
you see people have like 400 podcasts, and you're like, today is episode 5.
500. We're cruising. No, but nothing too crazy today. Just me and you.
Yeah.
Keep it pretty calm, pretty chill.
Yeah.
But
Talk about what we got going on and stuff like that.
Indeed. Yeah, if you want to kick it off in terms of what you're working on right now, definitely curious.
Well, I almost died 2 days ago. I'll start off with that.
Okay.
We're gonna start off with a little bit of a little suspense drama.
Some
No,
near death.
I was in the car. I was leaving the house, and I see in the distance a cop car just kind of driving off the highway, kind of driving, but he's crossing past me, so kind of coming from my left to my right, and I'm going straight ahead, and he hits another car. Cop car hits another car, and I'm like, what a douche. He hits him, and then the car he hit kind of pulls off, puts his hazard lights on, but the police officer just keeps driving past him.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, well, something's going on. So I'm driving a little bit slower. Everybody's kind of slowing down. You start seeing about 6 or 7 cop cars coming behind the first cop car. And as I'm doing that, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to come to a stop. I'm going to let everything pass by for a second.
Yeah.
And then as I'm doing this, I look to my right, and I see these lights, gigantic headlights coming straight for me. And there's a car the police officer was chasing.
Okay.
And the car just slammed to the railing and almost kind of like Fast and the Furious off of the ledge and came straight for me. 70 miles an hour. And I just kind of slammed on the pedal and just fucking drove as fast as I could. And it just missed me just a little bit. I actually have video footage of it. And it slammed into this other, the median of the road. I know it's a hard tell figuring out.
For sure.
I got to map it out, whatever. But I almost died, and I was like, it was weird because you know how they say your life flashes before your eyes? It wasn't that serious for me. I kind of it took about 10 minutes to really figure it out. But I was thinking about where my day would have been if I would have survived. Where everyone's life around me would have been. Just one little thing changed around. It was pretty intense, but
interesting.
I'm still here.
Interesting. I definitely had a similar kind of moment.
Really?
It was coming back to work after lunch, and I swear there's tons more crazy drivers in Colorado right now.
Yeah.
But I'm just getting ready to go across this green light. Not too crazy. Just turned green. I was like, all right, here we go. It's me, 3 of my other buddies from work, and as I start to go, I'm maybe a quarter way out, and this bus easily going 60 miles per hour is just boom, flies right past us.
Jesus.
Exactly. I was like, damn, if we just went maybe an inch or so further, that had just rolled my car, and we all would have just been fucked from that.
It's crazy. It's just like from the last episode, those little things that could have, one little reaction, a different reaction could have changed the course of your day, your year, your life,
Something big.
Yeah. Also, what I have going on, I did sign up for a 50K. It's an ultra marathon in New York. I'm pretty excited about it. It's been a while.
When's that?
May 17th, I think it is. May 24th, one of those Sundays. It's been a while since I've done an actual ultra. I think it probably been a couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, at least race-wise. I think I've done a couple of ultras without knowing it, with hiking and going for a run, whatever. But it's going to be interesting. I don't know why those races attract me. I think a lot of ultra marathon athletes or anybody that does endurance racing finds they all have their own whys they do it. Mine's I love the challenge. I love the when you feel the pain, how far can you push your mind, your body, your spirit? Because a marathon's 26.2, ultra is anything over a marathon. This one's going to be 32 miles, 50K.
Okay.
But it's you're going up high mountain, you're going, hills, you're going everywhere, you're going in the woods. For some reason, I don't know why. I think when I was growing up, that was the only way I could escape. I could be by myself, being in a house with 5 kids,
Yeah.
coming and going as they please. But I think that was the only way I can kind of just, even being in relationships, that was the only way I can just have my self time. It's very hard for me to go running with someone. But that was one of the main reasons why I moved to Denver or Colorado, is having the ability to just go to the mountains and just kind of be free. And, you do a lot of your thinking. A lot of people do their thinking in the shower. I do mine in the, most of it, like the positive development that I'm looking for during running. And when you have 6 hours of thinking, it's going to be,
I get
it's
that.
a little bit intense, but
I know I kind of miss in part of my routine when I had more of the time, I would strictly take an hour out of the day and just go walking. That was my form of meditation.
yeah.
Just like everyone's always talking about how they just have all these thoughts coming to the head. And when I would walk, I'd let them all come, and just eventually by the end of my hour, there was nothing left for me to think about. And I would just look around, start appreciating more of nature.
Yeah, you got to get out of your head. A lot of you
Indeed.
you hold it in. That's what I used to do. Just writing down things used to be difficult for me, just because you feel like it's irrelevant. It's not important, And then when you write it down, you're like, all right, well, this is easy shit. Like I could do this. I don't need to write it down. But when you write it down, I feel like it's when I see it, it's just so much clearer. And then you start, writing, it could be 3 sentences, then it goes into a page, and then more and more. And every single day, it allows you to be creative on a lot of different aspects of life, But like when it comes to challenges, I don't know why. I think everyone has their own challenges. It could be a 5K.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's like, if it's hard for you, it's hard for you. I've run 5Ks that were extremely hard. When I was my first 5K I did when I was 16, I think. No, probably 15 years old. I did it with my older brother, and for the longest time, I had basketball shoes on when I went running for races. Okay. I didn't know how to dress. I didn't have any people like that liked running around me.
I get you.
So we did a 5K. I don't know why we did it. I think it might have been just a local event at a park. But we just did a 5, and that was like the worst pain of my life, but I still won first place. Okay. But it was like a terrible time. It was like, you could tell it wasn't meant for runners. It wasn't like a really good race. It was like just like a local race. And it was, I don't know why I liked it, because of the camaraderie of it. Like when you finish the race, when you finish the line, doesn't matter if you won, lost, if you just barely finished, everyone got the same amount of kudos points. It brought me back to wrestling. When I was wrestling in high school, everyone, like, you could get pumped up, listen to music. You're being in your own world. They might be saying shit to you across the circle, and then at the end of the day, it was everyone just hugged. Great job, awesome. And I think that's what I love about sports the most, is just majority of sports, you give everything you got, and then at the end of it, it's we're all in the same position.
I did love that about football too.
Yeah,
that's probably the biggest thing that I miss from football, because really? I stopped playing my sophomore year, and that was during the time that my mom and my stepdad had got divorced, and that's when I was kind of reevaluating if football was really for me.
Yeah,
but I do miss some of that aspects, because that team connection that you build, I think that's why a lot of people love like military stuff.
Well, it's so funny, because now my favorite is where it's just by myself.
I get that.
I want to join. I know to get me at my best, to be the best I can be, I have to join a team. Like I need to look for a team around here that I can go running with and train with. It's just taking that step forward of, asking for help, not even asking for help, but being part of a team that can, challenge yourself. Cause the race itself is a challenge, but when you have, teammates, when you have partners, when you have people around you that can tell you that you're slowing down, that you need to speed up, that this works, this recovery.
This right here.
Exactly. Yeah. It takes that, and I think that's what we should delve into this episode, is about building the relationships, and any type of relationship, intimate, friendship. And what the importance of is building that camaraderie around somebody. I think it's very important. We talked about it a little bit in the last episode about having a support team.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know if I would be where I'm at right now if I didn't have, my family and friends, and even the people, like the books I've read and the videos, the people, the people who've inspired me. Like, I don't know where I'd be, like I remember I'd go drinking every day when I was, 17, 18 years old, and go to the club, because I like being around people. Because when I went home, it was just, at night, it was just like quiet, you got left with your own thoughts. So I felt like if I should, I guess, clutter my mind with other people, I didn't have to think about where I was going. I didn't feel like I was going anywhere in life. I remember growing up, I mean, oh man, like my childhood wasn't bad compared to a lot of people. I wouldn't even put it on the same spectrum, but there was moments in my childhood where you're just like, oh man, I wish I had, I wish my parents knew what they were doing. I wish my teachers knew what they were doing, to the point with how shaping a kid's life or forming a kid's life. Later on, I think it made me who I am today, and I'm proud of it. But there is moments where I'm just like, oh man, I wish someone taught me about this particular thing, about doing taxes, about taking out loans, about recovery, about, when you go to school, it's all about the weights. No one taught you how to be a man. No one taught you how to be a woman. No one taught you how to, kind of just find your course of action. I feel like you had to just find out for yourself or learn from people's mistakes, and in relationships, you find people that can build you up, and then you got to kind of push people away that kind of brought you down. And then and when I was in Florida, I was surrounded by people a lot like that, where they felt there was no peak they wanted to reach, so there was they didn't want to,
like comfort zone area.
Yeah, they get stuck there. Yeah. And I find myself, when I get stuck in that comfort zone, I panic, I just find myself, I need to be progressive at something. I need to do something, because even on the days where like it's a day off, I feel like I got to do something. I got to spend my time somehow. Yeah. And then finding those people that can, you are who you are. You are the average person you hang out with, the 5 people you hang out with, So if you have a bunch of people who don't want to do anything in life, or then it's very hard to tell from afar. It's like when the saying where when 2 people are arguing, you don't know who's right. Because from the wise man can only see
different sides.
You do the listening, and you kind of step outside the boundaries. You go on the outside and just watch who you're hanging out with and your family, and how they inspire you or support you. And if they don't, then you kind of have to. You just know where they are in your life. Yeah. They're just there to grab your attention. Now and then. But you gotta. I find like I have to surround myself if I want to be the best I can be as, a runner or an athlete. I got to surround myself with athletes. If I want to be the best content creator or hanging out with, or a filmmaker, photographer, I got to hang out with those people. Right. It's very hard to get inspired.
Those, 5 mentors that you just kind of build and connect off of.
Absolutely.
I get that.
I hate social media because of how great people are.
That's fair.
It sucks, man. Like if you're a photographer or a videographer or a runner or whatever, you watch people, you're like, oh man, I wish I would have done that, and I wish I'm here, and then
that's with my fitness videos. Yeah, I can see mine, and then comparison to someone else that has all the camera gear and the setup and the knowledge to do all that, and it's like, well, shit, I kind of want to do it like that. But that's a long way still for me to grow with that.
I think it was the belief in yourself, and it sucks because the books that we read now, they're the books that have told us like it doesn't matter who you're surrounded, like who cares? Because when they first started, they had the same thoughts, but the difference between them and anybody else is they did it, and then 5 years later,
built and improved.
You can't you can only regret the time that you didn't do something, know. And I feel like taking a moment, like when you take an hour or whatever, when you meditate or self-reflection, when you take that moment and just repiece that puzzle, it helps me so much, because then I could figure out, is the people I'm hanging out with, are they legit? Are they going to help me? Are they going to lead me down the right path? Yeah. Are the places I go, are they going to be beneficial for me? Or is going to a club or a bar at night, is that going to help me progress in life? And finding out in those procrastinations is, not being able to create a goal for yourself and then not accomplish it, So those are things that I really want to work on. And I believe, it starts off with the people that are surrounding you.
For sure. I found it very interesting. And actually, a friend brought it up beforehand, too. They're like, both you and Sean are completely different people.
Absolutely.
And I definitely see it. And I think that's a good benefit that we have.
Mm-hmm.
But like in terms of even growing up, too, I was always the person that was by myself. I thrived by myself. But as I started to grow, I've learned like I kind of need to branch out more. I need to, again, kind of build that team up and find those different ways that I can start to connect and build from there.
Right.
Because I can't do everything by myself.
Right.
So I know that's partly why I did music, was to get me more out of my shell, because I was, again, always that very shy, quiet kid growing up. Fitness definitely has helped a lot too, especially when I reached out to Jonah and he helped kind of build me up, built some of that confidence and helped me thrive. And then through fitness, like a key thing that you have to do is sales.
Mm-hmm.
And sales is already tricky enough too, especially if you're someone that feels introverted, such as myself.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, all right, how do I know that I'm worth X amount, and how do I convey to someone else that I do have the knowledge to help you, achieve the goal that you're looking for in fitness? And before I did fitness, I did door-to-door sales, which that was an interesting experience itself. And you're just going all the way door to door, street after street after street, talking to hundreds and hundreds of people.
It's scary stuff.
For sure. And everybody is so unique when you come to them. So you got to like quickly be able to connect to someone on the spot. And I know that kind of helped me get better in terms of communication and things like that, which is partly why I'm kind of doing more of the podcasts and even stuff that I have planned outside of the podcast. Mm-hmm. It's all steps right now that I'm taking to better convey what's in my head, get it out, speak it out,
right,
and then start to build up that kind of community. Because I love writing, I love talking, I love sharing all the information that I have.
On your for fitness, who are some of the people that kind of get you in the right mindset? Doesn't matter about their physical attributes, but who like kind of get you into that point? Because I know obviously the people that inspired me, you don't necessarily find those, but who are some of the people that you're kind of built around that if you listen to them or watch them and kind of like spark that drive forward?
Yeah. I know 3 that I can pull off the top of my head. One is a guy named Eugene Teo, something like that. He was a past bodybuilder. A lot of his perspectives on training have always definitely sparked my curiosity in that area. The next would be, so their main YouTube channel is Renaissance Periodization. The person himself is Dr. Mike Israetel. I think that's how you say it. Hopefully, I'm probably butchering these names. Right. And then the other guy, I can't think of his name, also a doctor, but his main channel, very popular one too, which is Squat University.
Oh yeah, I just saw that up, yeah.
Yeah. Love that channel. Love that dude. He has tons of amazing information that I always learn from. But those 3 guys alone have built like giant sustainable businesses for themselves through the aspect of taking their knowledge that they have and sharing it in a very simple, clear way that anyone can kind of pick and take for themselves. Mm-hmm. And I mean, not only seeing how they run their business, but in terms of the knowledge that they've built, that's always something that I've always gone back to them for.
Right.
So, I mean, I've definitely recently, since we've been talking, I've been trying to look more into more of like endurance athletes, things like that. Because even though that's not necessarily entirely my goal, I do, again, like some of the challenges and things like that provides.
Yeah.
Because I remember one of my clients, her goal was to join the military, and she has to, be able to learn to train for that and be prepared for that. And the military was actually something I was considering joining in the past. But during that time, I was 275 overweight. I couldn't join until I lost the weight. Again, I didn't have the drive at that time, so it didn't happen, but that's okay. But now that I did, and when she presented that to me as what her goal was, I was like, well, I wonder if I can do that myself. How many pull-ups do I need to hit? How far do I have to run? How many push-ups, sit-ups, the full span of requirements. So when we did the training together, I basically made it my goal as well to, all right, this was the minimum number, this was the maximum number. I'm going to work towards that maximum number.
Gotcha.
And I just took that. I think we trained for 6 months, and those 6 months, I just drove it hard for that.
Yeah.
So right now, I probably won't do, a lot of the marathon running, Ultramans or anything like that. But I know the first 5K that I did was when we met together at the Polar Plunge.
Yeah.
And that was the first one I ever did. Completed it by running the whole time.
It was like 12 degrees outside.
Yeah, that was freezing.
That sucked. I felt like, and you had to be safe because it was so snowy, so icy out there. That's the struggle with living in Colorado is you can have 300 beautiful days of sunshine, and then you get those 65.
Snowstorm.
You get snow, and then it's a beautiful day while it does it, but just the roads look like shit. So it's just another excuse that I kind of find myself giving. And it's like, oh, it's just not the weather. It's not the day. It's too cold.
Yeah.
The roads look crappy. I'll wait till, and then you just kind of start building on those excuses. And I feel like it does take those people sometimes that motivation to look at someone and go, well, if he's doing it, I got to do it.
For sure.
You're your enemy, you're a competitor, you're the person who gives you the information, or just the person you're inspired by is doing it, and then you can't be like, well, you're inspiring me, and then still not do nothing, because there's been many times where I'll have an excuse ready for myself when to go running or to go lifting or to do anything, and then I do have to like. One of my favorites is just pulling up an Ironman on YouTube and just watch the most recent Ironman. And then you get compelled to do things. I'm a very visual person. So when I look up someone or when I watch a video, it does just spark that little amount of,
I get you. Just a little bit of a drive.
Just the engine starter, just to get you going. And I'm a very self-motivated person. I don't need the motivation, but it's just like the people who take pre-workout. Sometimes you just need that little extra boost to get you going. And then after that, just like, you don't even think about it. It's not like you're not regretting the workout. You're not regretting the run. You needed that first step, that first step in everything, starting a business, starting a podcast, starting a run or a race. It's that part when you struggle with, but if you make it that habit, you make it a routine, you don't let that negativeness get into your head.
For sure. There's be times that things are going to definitely try and push you against getting it done. I know, like in the past recently, part of your schedule is kind of that challenge that was pushing you away from what you were trying to get done.
Yeah. When you have work that takes away, that is, so like, if you can move around work, that's fine. Like if you can, I'll go before, I'll go after. But when it's the underlining problem where that's your main excuse, you got to go to work every day.
Yeah.
So if that's your main excuse, I would create more excuses around something I couldn't change. I have to wake up too early. I don't want to go outside. It's too cold. And then I got into that notion of, am I living the best life I can live? Am I being the best person I want to be? And for my whole life, I've gone through phases of being in amazing shape, being in an amazing mindset, doing everything I can. Like last year I think me and my friend, we did 23 races.
Okay.
And like, I had to have a goal and set. I had to do something to get somewhere. I couldn't be like, well, let me just go run just because I want to go run. Before I used to do that just because I felt like that was my only outing. I feel like if I could,
little escape, I'll go.
That was it. Now I just feel like I have a bunch more now that I have more opportunity, more time to do what I want to do and spend time with my family. But I would get so mad at myself for the excuses that I would make, but I didn't have the people around me to motivate me at a high level, to where I needed to go. I had some people, like last year was really good for me because I did have the people that were like, there's a race in Hawaii. Do you want to do it? I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a race in California. You know, we did the trail runs. We did the Spartan trail runs, the championship in, where was it? San Francisco is the Golden Gate Bridge Classic. We did one of those. We did the St. Louis Obispo Spartan trail run. We did the Telluride Spartan run. I love trail runs. That's what kind of, because I feel like it can.
Is it the change of scenery that kind of
happens? Well,
happens?
it gives you opportunity to, the road can only go, you know, you can only see the road. You can see the city. You can look off to your left and your right. But when you're doing a long race, I like to be a little distracted, you know?
I get that.
So if you're doing a 5-hour race, imagine just on the road for the entire time. Yeah.
Fuck this road.
Yeah, I can't. I gotta, I'll create movies in my head. I'll write books in my head. I'll, you know, when you're during like training wise, you can kind of reflect on life. Whatever race, you don't have the opportunity to do that. You're just kind of, you're just thinking about, you know, your splits, your pace, where you're going, what's your time frame, what are you trying to accomplish, you know, what place you want to go. So there's too many things going in your head. But when you're trail running, when you're going through rocks and you're going through woods, you're going through trees, you're going up and down, you don't have time for that. You're just like, you're focused on every step.
Yeah.
And I think that to me is so powerful because it gives me the ability to focus exactly what I want to do and how to do it.
It brings you more present too.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm the kind of person I'll deviate sometimes from listening to music when I go running. David Goggins is also one of the people that I admire doing that. He's like, it's a distraction, you know. Another like Fight Club when they had their comfort zone, the comfort place, the penguin and all that stuff. And then when he, you know, Tyler Durden grabbed his hand and he put the soap on his hand, the vinegar, you know, like before he put he put the acid on his hand, and he's trying to go to his comfort zone and be here. Like you have to, you got to be in the moment. Like in order to be stronger, be powerful, be present is you gotta be there. You gotta see it. You gotta feel it. And then everything around you in any part of your day is a piece of cake. When you run 32 miles or 50 miles or 100 miles, everything in life is easier.
Yeah.
You know, you think weather's the problem? You know, that's how I felt like when I did the marathons, when I did, you know, I've done 4 or 5 ultras. After that, it was just like nothing, no matter how early you have to wake up, no matter how tired you are, nothing is as bad as it was during that time period. You push yourself to the ultimate max. And I find that when I have those challenges, I perform at my best.
I get that. I get that.
And hopefully that's what a lot of people do. It doesn't have to be athletics. It could be anything in life. If you put yourself to that challenge, I think there's no negative to it. You can't argue the fact if you give yourself a challenge, it makes you worse.
For sure. I have a different challenge that I'm trying to accomplish right now myself, and it's more of the writing aspect, which is like I want to build a newsletter that's just full of my thoughts, perspectives on health, philosophy, you know, the whole range. So the challenge itself is to kind of build out a whole, you know, like a blog post basically at least once a week.
Right.
For at least one whole month. If I can work on that, then I'll, you know, try and make it 2 months and then build it from there. But that's my own current challenge, is more that writing aspect. Again, trying to build that communication, which is my overall goal.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, I do it all the time. I'm like, this month, I'm gonna meditate 5 minutes every single day.
Okay.
I'm gonna journal 5 minutes every day.
Yeah.
I used to, I loved writing for so long. It was more like it was more like fiction stuff.
Right.
I love writing fiction, and I think the reason why I got really good at it and very consistent with it is because when I was going to college, I was doing online one semester, and I had research papers every single class, every single week. So I was writing and writing and writing. So when I went to go write my own material, it just fluently just came out of, like, I was using words I would never write. The storylines were going places I never thought they would go, but it's kind of practicing for something that you love.
Oh yeah.
And that was something that I feel like with writing, especially for something you want to accomplish, is the time blocking. You know, you got to time block 2 hours, 3 hours to do exactly what you want to do, depending on how much you're decided to write.
For sure.
But when I time blocked in anything, 4 hours, to me, it was it was easy because it was like having a job. Writing was a job. When you treat it like a job, you're going to perform at it, you know?
Yeah. I know I have a friend right now who makes music, and his challenge is every day for 2 hours, he'll sit down, build out a whole song.
Yeah.
And flesh it out entirely. And then I can't remember what his end goal for all those songs are, but right now for a week straight, he's sitting down every day, 2 hours, build out that song.
I was watching a podcast with Steven Pressfield, and he said he went to go interview or had lunch with I don't remember his name, but the gentleman wrote 400 articles, books, whatever. He wrote, over 400 pieces of material. And Pressfield said, how do you do it? Like, where do you get the inspiration from? How do you stay so consistent?
How does it just keep coming?
And he said, he goes, you see that over there? It's a typewriter, just a typewriter, not like a computer. He goes, every day, no matter what, I don't care if I'm hungover or whatever, I will sit there until for my whole time period. Mm-hmm. And he said, I time blocked, and I knew like every day I would sit there no matter what. He goes, I wanted to write good stuff. He goes, why waste your time writing bad stuff? Yeah. But at the moment when you're writing it, you don't know if it's good or bad.
Of course.
But when you go through it, you write it no matter what. He goes, I don't care how shitty it was, how stupid it was. If I couldn't think of anything, I would just write and write and write. He goes, some point in that time period, 30, 45 minutes or an hour, something good was coming out of it.
Yeah.
So it's the consistency, no matter if you go outside and you run 1 mile, 3 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, you got to do it with the schedule. You got to have a plan. And if I don't have a plan for running, very easy for me to figure, just like going to the gym. If you don't have a plan of what you're doing and you're just going to place to place to place,
how do you know you're progressing?
You don't know where you're progressing, and you're also wasting time,
Mm-hmm.
So having that plan around it and having people that can help you establish a foundation so you can help them grow as long as you're growing as well, you could find success. That's how I find success is, I'm not trying to preach or anything, but as like I find success when I have the material in front of me and the support system around me.
Yeah.
It's the best I can be.
I know it's interesting too, especially when I first was diving into my fitness journey. I was listening to some podcasts and they brought up the fact of like you actually build a sense of freedom through building a routine.
Right.
And I remember sitting there because I was still new to it. I was like, oh no, if I have a routine, how is my life going to be free? It's going to be way too structured. I don't have freedom to do whatever I want, things like that. But then through making it a routine, I felt like everything was just liberated. Yeah. Like I have this done, this is done. I'm moving, I'm progressing, I'm making progress. Everything feels great because I have these set things that happen at set times and I can knock them out.
Yeah.
And I know like one thing I never really liked is when someone always asked me like, hey, if money wasn't an issue, what would you kind of do with your time? And that's what made me kind of lead on to deciding like what I want to do for business, is because even though I love music, and yes, if money wasn't an issue and I had all the equipment in the world, sure, I'm definitely going to make music in my free time, but I'm still going to work out. I'm still going to, do all my other hobbies. I'm still going to write. I'm still going to read, all this stuff. But in terms of making money or trying to build something for myself, I'm going to come back to fitness because that's what I love sharing ideas about and things like that. If money's not the issue, I have no reason to go out there and share anything. If I'm making music, it's not to go share it. It's just because it's for myself at that point.
Right.
So it's less of like, this is what I want to make a career out of. This is more of what am I doing? I love to go snowboarding. That doesn't mean I'm going to be a professional snowboarder all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Or I love to golf. I'm not going to be a pro golfer. So I never really liked that question. If you had your free time, it's like, I know what I'm going to do, but in terms of what I want to build, I think fitness is that route.
Hey, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. Thank you for tuning into this episode of our podcast. We hope you're enjoying the content, finding it informative and entertaining. But if you're looking for more, be sure to check out the video version of this episode on our YouTube channel as well. We have lots of great content. So be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, stay up to date on all of our latest releases. And again, thank you for listening. Now we'll get back to the show.
Well, I wrote this down too, and it actually puts what you said into perspective. Is both quotes are from Steve Jobs. One is, the only way to get great work done is to love what you do.
Yeah.
So it's like, I love doing a lot of stuff, but am I going to give the time, the effort, and the money into everything I love to do, or do I figure out which one is the most plausible one, which one do I love the most, and then how can I attack it? And the other quote is, your time is limited. Don't waste it on living someone else's life. So that's like, again, when I brought it back to like going on Instagram or Facebook, and I see these people living their lives, and then that envy comes into place. And you're like, I wish I did this. I want to do that. I want to look like this. And then, but you're not living the life that you have lived. You know, it's very hard for me to get into that point where I can take my own life and look at it from a different point of view. It's like a videographer or if you're trying to find the right frame. Yeah. How do you do it? How do you create your stories? Like, you use that material from someone else, and then you start building your own style and technique. So it's like you gotta have the framework done. That's the blueprint. You know, I have to know what I want. I have to visualize it. If I can't visualize where I want to be tomorrow or next month or 5 years, then it's just a free path. You know, like you can go anywhere you want. It's a roller coaster. You're going up and down, sideways. But if you take that opportunity and you figure out exactly what you want to do, it's easy to figure out a blueprint when you know what you want, you know? So, and that's why it's like when you do something that has a time restricted schedule and you have something to do that you absolutely love, it doesn't matter what it turns out to be, you know? And that's something I have to face is like, don't worry about being a perfectionist. Don't worry about OCD. Don't worry about, what other people are going to think about it. Just do it. I mean, you're the most prolific athletes in the world. You have the most famous rock stars in the world, and you have the most beautiful superstars in the world, and they still get shit. They get backlash. You'll get some piece of shit sitting on a couch saying that Beyonce's ugly. You know, like there's always going to be something that's going to
shit album. Yeah,
there's always going to be like they'll tell people what to do, like how to perform their material. Hey, I think like there's someone going to be on the keyboard saying, I like their old stuff. You know, I liked when Brady sucks. Like there's things in people's they want to inflict pain. They want to inflict into someone's life in a negative motion. But when you just start throwing those to the side and you get rid of them, then it's focusness. Meditation can do that. Journalism can do that. Self-reflection can do that. Time blocking can do that. There's many different things that pieces in my life where I'll just go implementing that. I don't like to do all of it because then it gets overwhelming. Like
for sure,
you'll see on online where it's like the 10 things that every CEO does, and it's like
all right, I wake up, I do this.
I gotta meditate, I gotta journal, I gotta read, I gotta go outside and walk the dog, or I gotta go outside and and go for a run and then work out, and then by the time it's like 4:00, and then that's why you pick certain things per month.
Right. What's priority that I want to focus on right now?
Right. What are you trying to accomplish? Is it creative? Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it spiritual? Is it emotional? And then just do 2 things that kind of figure out. Like on this month alone, I try to meditate for at least 10 to 15 minutes. I got the Headspace app. I try to get that down. It helps a lot, especially with the podcast, because when there's moments where I'm like, I don't know what to say or how to say it what topic we want to talk about. And then when I have that time where I can just meditate and just focus exactly what I want to do, it just comes out clear. Yeah. And then another thing is reading every single day. Every morning I want to wake up and read at least 30 to 45 minutes of reading, because it gets that brain going. It allows me to just start formulating ideas easier and quicker, so I can kind of establish myself, like especially with running, like every single day. I want to run every single day, and I have the days I don't want to run, I'll run a mile. No. The days that's part of my schedule, my ultra marathon the schedule that I bought, because I feel like if I create something, if I create my own, I'll throw too much shit in there.
For sure.
I'll start,
all right, 10, 12, 15, 35.
You start looking at it. And then if anybody who knows ultras, it's not about speed, it's not about pace, or not about like pushing yourself. It's like you gotta be able to withstand the time. You gotta be able to, can you put your body through the worst pain of your life and still have something left to give? And then when you're in training, you can't, I'm going to go run 25 miles on training, because you're actually putting harm to the body. So, you know,
sure.
you have your long run at Saturday and Sunday, but to me, I feel like I would be like, well, it's not enough. I gotta run one more mile. And then I'll tell myself, no matter what, no matter how easy the workout is, no matter how hard the workout is, it stops the moment, whatever that schedule says.
Yeah.
And if you're time blocking for 4 hours, you stop at that 12 p.m. mark. You stop at whatever time that you said yourself, and you come back the next day. That's what I loved about Eminem. There was Eminem, Akon.
I remember hearing about that.
Akon, you know, he was one of his songs. I think it was like "Smack That" or something.
I'm pretty sure it was that one. Yeah.
And then Akon came in, just, you know, like with his group and hanging out. He was late to the.
I think he said he came in at like 7 p.m. or something.
7 p.m. and then Eminem was like, "All right, I'll see you later." And he's like, "Where are you going?" He goes, "No, I'm going. I'll see you tomorrow at 9." You know, and Akon realized how great Eminem was because of he treated it like a job.
Yep.
Came in at 9, had lunch at 12, left at 5.
Yep.
You know, he did the exact same thing. No matter how great he is, he made sure he never lost the focus. And he's not partying or doing anything. He's not like distracting himself. But those are the people that I admire the most, who can go through the pain and torment of doing something continuously every single day and then come back and do it again for 10, 15, 20, 25 years.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that right there is... You can do something for 6 months and then consider yourself of building that habit or routine, but doing something for 10 to 15 to 20 years consecutively, you change little bits of it, but doing it consecutively for that long.
That's a part of the routine in life right there.
Yeah.
I know right now I'm trying to combine some of those like habits that I'm building. Cause again, you know, I took journalism as my biggest thing. But right now, in order to make more time and shift like what I'm working on overall, I'm going to combine the newsletter and overall journalism into that same aspect. So that way I'm still writing, I'm still talking about what I love, what's on my mind, problems I'm solving, things like that.
How do you get outside of the comfort zone?
It's a good question. I know the biggest way that I started, I think that propelled for everything else that I do now, was through music. That first show that I ever did, and the way that I got into that was, first I just found the show. I was like, all right, I need step 1, just find the show, set the dates, don't even think about it. All right, step 2, I do need to be prepared in some aspects. I need to practice, I need to think about it, kind of visualize things like that. And then once it actually came time to doing it, just kind of sat, stay calm, breathe, just focus on being present and where I'm at, and then kind of rehearse a little bit and then just go straight into it. So those were kind of the things that I've picked up in terms of how I move forward with everything else. So with fitness, before I even jumped into working with the coach, I kind of sat with where I'm at. You're like, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to change? Like, okay, let's think about it. First step, I'm going to find a coach. It's going to make things so much easier. So I already knew my friend who was into it, found the coach. I was like, okay, let's set a call. We'll do it. We'll not think about it. Just kind of chill, relax, maybe do a little bit of research. What am I trying to achieve? What am I looking for myself? Then boom, hopped on the call, went from there. So every point along the way, there is still that initial jump that always has to be taken somehow. Right. You can kind of build up. I think what I've learned is that you got to build up some sense of self-awareness as to why you're doing it. Yeah. Like even with when I was skiing, when I first came back after like 15 years of not skiing, of course I'm terrified to death, but I want to learn how to do the curves and carve down the hill. And I remember as I'm going back up the lift after a few times of crashing, I'm watching one dude coming down the hill just shredding it up. I was like, okay, what is he doing? Okay, he's throwing his hips into it. He's doing this. So I'm kind of building some research. I'm just sitting with it, thinking about it. I was like, okay, what does that kind of like feel like and look like for my body? It's like, okay, I want to push like this. I want to quickly pivot, things like that. So once I finally got to the top, it just took a second. It's like, okay, we're going to start a little slow, build up some speed, and then go for the first turn. And again, that was that jump. I was like, with this, I'm going to have to all out with it. Otherwise, if I do a little half-ass turn, I'm probably going to tumble and roll down the hill. Right. So those are ways that I've learned to kind of come out of my comfort zone. but I know there's still an aspect of I need a challenge to go after. And then that's what kind of kicks the process from there.
Right.
How about for yourself?
I think to get out of a comfort zone is I have to feel uncomfortable. I have to put myself in an uncomfortable state. So if you feel like you don't want to wake up in the morning or do an activity or go work out or go for a run or write material, I put myself in a situation where I start just having these negative thoughts about, I was all right, you're going to be a piece of shit. I was like, you're going to be where you were yesterday. You're going to, someone else is going to be better.
David Goggins on your shoulder.
Yeah, you're missing an opportunity. I don't know if it's because I like look up something one day and then I just get a bunch of, I guess, sponsors or topics that show up on my Instagram for that one thing I was looking at. But I feel like everyone has the answer. Everyone's selling their free shit. Everyone is saying that, oh, this is the way to do it. Mm-hmm. And then what I'll do is I'll look at those things and I'll admire it. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'll buy that if he's got the answer. And then I go back and I'm like, everybody does this. Everyone gets into the moment where they just feel like they have the answers. So I'll get to the point where I'm like, I don't want to be the person who needs these people to sell me anything or to buy anything. And I'll put myself in a situation where I'm like, well, they're doing it. They do have the legit answers. I want to go find my own answers. When you buy a PDF workout, is that workout for you? Yeah. You know, or are you buying something because someone looks the type, that the body that you want? Are you buying it because you want to look like them? And I think once you get that out of your head, where it's like, I'm going to go read the books that put me in the mindset. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go watch videos that put me in the mindset. I'm going to go, if I want to be creative, I watch someone or read something that mimics the goal that I want to read. Like right now, every day I read in the morning, The Rise of Ultra. Yeah. The Rise of Ultra Runners. And I'll read that every morning, and then I'm in that mindset, you know? Because I feel like either if you're an introvert or an extrovert, or if you think too much and you have so much in your mind that you have to be grounded. I have to ground myself to go, you can't do everything in one day. But if you accomplish this one thing, then you're on the roll of progression. Yeah. It's like the book, Make Your Bed. If you make your bed every single morning, you've done one task every single day, and you're already on the road for progression. Make it real nice. I think it was in the military, but they would make their bed every single morning, no matter what. Yeah. It has to look a certain point. But if you make your bed,
what's his name that wrote a book that was the big point.
Yeah,
like, if take 5 minutes, just make your bed.
Make your bed. You started the day off on the right path, mm-hmm. and then you start building these little bit of healthy goals for yourself. You know, if you wake up in the morning and you have your coffee and you read your book, I'm in that mindset. I'm outside that comfort zone. I'm gonna do what my mind has been reading for 30 minutes. It gets you in the mode. Like sometimes when I read a book, the terminology or the words they use just kind of, they're like those pop words, those buzzwords when you're making a sell. Yeah. When someone talks about the pain and suffering they go through while they're running. I don't know why, but I'm just like, I want to feel that shit, you know, like I don't know what it is, but there's something that when it comes to someone explaining a physical process or even a mental or emotional process, I feel like if I go to that point in my life, if I go to that mindset, then I can handle a lot more than I did yesterday, you know? So if I have the ability to read something and then not do something, I feel like a hypocrite, you know?
I get you.
I feel like I'm not doing what I'm saying I'm doing. So I like to even put things out in public to the point where I have to back it up. You know, if I'm going to go do this, if I'm going to do a race, if I say it, then you're going to be like, how's that race going? How you doing? Where are you at in your life? And if it was just nothing, you know, I didn't, you know, it's just another race. I'll do it later. You got to do shit every single day because that race is going to suck. Ooh, but you want the training to be the worst part of it and the race to be the easy part. So I put myself in an uncomfortable mindset to get out of a comfort physical set. You know, if I feel like can't get out of bed, I find ways in order to make myself feel like an idiot, feel like I'm out of control, like I'm not where I want to be in life. Picture yourself 5 years from now because you didn't do this one run. Yeah. And then I'm like, all right, I got to go.
I know it's interesting too how you talked about like how you do most of the learning on your own, don't buy from courses or things like that. I know a rule for myself is I don't really buy any courses, but I'll buy strictly one-on-one with a full mentor. Like we have to sit down and chat.
Yeah.
Or it's access to a full community.
Yeah.
So I have access to talk to everybody.
Well, like I said, like I want to join a team.
Yeah.
Because you can go so far by yourself.
For sure.
I'll watch these professional athletes, and they have a swimming coach, they have a running coach, they have a bike coach, they have a head coach, they have a nutrition coach, they have, they do their massages, they'll have their acne punches, they have all these things because it helps build their body, their mindset, and their emotions. Because when you're as a triathlon or a triathlete or an endurance runner, is like the most important thing is your emotions. When you're on mile 20 and you start saying you're an idiot, what did you do? Why did you do this race? You're going to fail. Like everyone goes through. I love hearing like Courtney Delawater. She'll be saying it, and everyone goes. That there's a moment in the race, and it happens everywhere differently for everybody. But there's a moment where that guy comes in your head. You fucked up.
Yeah.
You did something you weren't supposed to do. You shouldn't have done this race. And the problem is the longer that race is in anything in life, the further you're in it, that's the worst part because there's no going back. If you're 56 miles in a 100-mile race and you're feeling that, and if you're in the midpoint, you're like, holy shit, I have 40, 2, 3, 4 miles left to do this. It's like, it's so hard to keep going for long distances if your mind ain't right, if your emotions aren't right. So it's like if you practice that mentality of creating a defense mechanism, how can I create another character in my head that can back me up? It's like the devil on both, like the devil on both shoulders with a lot of people. You have those negativeness on both sides. There's nothing to get you out of it. That leads to depression. It leads to just sadness in general. But it's like if you can create another person in your head that can, beat the shit out of that one person and it kind of like leads you around the right path going, dude, you've made it this far. Imagine how you're going to feel at the end of it. Imagine when you finish a book, how you're going to feel at the end of it. Yeah. When people buy your book online, when you sell your first product, when you sell your first service, when you finish that race that you lost sleep over, when you reach a PR, like imagine what that's going to be. And then also what you do with that. It's like, is that it? Is that your PR, or is something else is your next PR? It's like putting yourself in a mindset to push yourself to the ultimate, desired goal, and then go, okay, what's next? And then I think if you had the mentality, instead of saying, this is it, this is the one, after this, I'm done.
Yeah.
Then you liked it, you did it, you're good at it, but that's it. That's all it is, So you have to kind of write that story for yourself, and it's very hard because that first couple of pages, first couple of episodes, you have to figure out who you are. Yeah. You have to figure out where you want to take it. You got to figure out, the path, because that was the hard thing for me for so long is if I start off this way, it has to be this way. It's got to be perfect. I got to do it, I got to have and then I'll read
tunnel focus.
But I'll watch famous people like with Steven Spielberg, just like pick up a camera and shoot, or just start recording and then you find your style later. Yeah. And I always reverted back to dancing. Like when I learned like salsa dancing and bachata. Okay. It's like you got to learn the footwork first. It doesn't matter how ugly or how repetitive or how marching it feels. If you learn the footwork first, then the style, the technique, the fun, the suave comes in later, Flow. But you got to do it every single day, every single time. You got to make sure when you do dance steps, you got to pound your feet, you got to make sure it just becomes so, it's in the mental, like you got to create that thing where like, this is how it's done. And then you start creating your own style to it.
Oh yeah. That's again where that priority comes in place. Cause again, we can't implement everything all at once, and that's okay. Like right now I've moved reading kind of to the side, but to pick up more of learning Spanish, cause that's my main priority right now. So I have an entire hour blocked out every day that's dedicated to learning and practicing more of that speaking of it, reading of it, writing of it. So that's kind of where, building that routine, but don't worry about trying to implement everything.
Who are some of the people that around you that kind of put you in that right direction, that relationship, family, friends, or anybody that you can kind of feed off of?
one big person in particular, which is my own dad. And he drives a lot of what I do because he has his own business, which has its own TV show. It's thrived. It's huge. It's known across all of Texas pretty much. And to look up to that and be like, that's pretty massive in comparison to where I'm at and where he's at. Obviously, he's had the time to build all that. And I was with them when, it obviously wasn't just overnight. I was there when we were just selling little knickknacks at small little venues and things like that. And then to scale it up to the level that it's at now. And, he's retired military. He has his business. Just so many different aspects of what he's grown and built. So I can always look up to him and see like, that's what I want to achieve for my life. Doesn't have to be the exact same thing, but that's what I want to build. I want to build a business. I want to have, a set foundation for a family, things like that. So he's always been that huge factor that I've always looked up to and what drives a lot of the things that I've tried to do. Mm-hmm. But I know sometimes I have my moments here and there where I catch myself comparing too much. And it's like, look, I'm not going to be just like my dad, but I definitely will still work hard just as he did to build what I can for my own life.
Right.
How about you?
I think I take bits and pieces from everybody. I think each individual in my life can benefit me in a different way. Like, I think my fiance, she makes me want to be a better person. She's gotten me out of my comfort zone a lot, especially with like, talking to people, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
Like I'm an introvert, I really am. So like having her, who she's so bubbly, she's so friendly, she's so nice to people, that if I don't interact in some way, shape, or form, I feel like I'm the person bringing down a situation.
I get you.
I don't like to be the center of attention, but I'll throw, just to have fun in there every once in a while, and then I'll back away or whatever. But, she gets me to the point where we're definitely similar in a lot of areas, but we're also complete opposite. She watches like trash TV. She watches like reality TV every day, and I can't stand that kind of stuff. But I feel like if we don't, sometimes it's good not to have the same type of things that we like, like the same things.
Yeah.
We like different movies. Her favorite movie is like Pitch Perfect. Mine's Seven and Fight Club. But we have different types of things. But when it comes down to it, it gives us more to talk about. Like if we like both the same stuff, that conversation can go so far.
Yeah.
So it allows us to kind of just communicate. I think that's the reason why we have such a great relationship, is that we always talk about, our day, and we don't just ask questions just to ask questions. Everything we say means something. It progresses. Yeah. We've been together for 6 years, so everything is gonna. You think you know someone by then, but then there's always going to be that time period where if you don't, the moment I feel like I lose joy in a relationship, it's very easy to me to just kind of like sway away from something. But for 6 years, not one day has that ever happened. And I just kind of know like it helps me just to keep being the person that I want to be,
Yeah.
I sway sometimes. I'll want to head a direction, and then she'll kind of just like, and I'll do the same thing for her. So we kind of have a mutual bond of always grounding someone. I want to buy something, she's like, are you sure this is it? If she wants to buy something, she'll just buy it. But it doesn't have the same type of presence to it. But there's different, that kind of helps me on that point. My brother Shane, he's another person who kind of like always makes me, because no matter what I have, when it comes to let's say if I'm creating something, he'll always come in and put his 2 cents in. And then I'll get to the point where I was like, fuck you, man. I did this for like 2 hours. But then I get to the point where he sees things that I don't see.
For sure.
So I want to make sure it is perfect. And we both have that OCD-ness to it. Like if we're looking at something and we see, like, we'll zoom in and we're like, what? Found it. I got to fix that. So there's everything just to us has to be it. But that's also a negativeness that we hold with each other, is it has to be too perfect. And if it's not perfect, we don't do it, or we don't release it, or it's a struggle, or it makes us feel like shit that, we wasted our time doing it. But when we both have that opportunity where we go, okay, let's just sit back, calm down, and let's just figure it out. So there's another, element of my life where I feel like that I need help on, that I can also help someone with, is I'll do the same thing I do with what people tell me. Just fucking do it, man. But when it's my own stuff, it's
You're like, well, give me a minute.
different.
Hold on.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
You look at it different, but when it's someone else's stuff, you're just like, dude, just fucking do it, man. It's good. Just write it down, release it to the public, and then go on to the next one. And every single time I have to follow that guideline.
Oh, yeah.
I have to not let perfectionist or that negative person that I experience when I'm running or racing that get the hold of me wanting to do something that I want to do.
For sure.
And, there's other people in my life where my mom taught me about how to be compassionate with someone and how to create the need to help somebody.
Forgiveness, things like that.
Yeah, like creating the podcast, it wasn't about like, let me inspire you to do things. No, it's like, these are the people who helped me around my path. I want to hear yours. Like, I want to hear the people that we have on the show, like who inspired them, because you can either research it or Google it, or it's like you can kind of feel like, okay, they do the same thing. My family or my friends do the same thing to me. And you kind of look at life differently,
For sure.
So
I know with like in the past previous episode with Jonah, how I mentioned how my stepdad got mad when I fumbled the football and he punched his windshield.
Yeah.
Me and him definitely had a rough relationship when I was growing up, but I feel like that relationship built like a stronger shell for myself, not to like completely block anybody out, but not to let anybody kind of just walk over me.
Right.
And I think like if I didn't have that aspect, I'd probably be more shy and timid, probably would have never gone on stage, things like that. So I probably would have reverted more back to myself and just kind of shut down from the world.
Yeah.
So I think there's learning points from everybody.
It usually takes something negative to happen to you, and I bring it back to end the show is from the beginning was when like the almost died moment.
Yeah.
It's like when that happens, when you can sit back and go, what if it all ended? What if that was the moment? Did I leave my relationships the way I should have left them?
Yeah.
Did I do what I wanted to accomplish?
Was I actually grateful for the things
Right.
around me?
And I don't want to take a negative approach on something for the reason why I didn't do positive things. So it's like, I can always say, well, I want to write a book. And then 2 years later, it was like, well, I'm going to write a book, So it's like, why does it take that bad relationship to make you see the positive in things? I've taken my majority of negative situations in my past relationships, and I'll become pickier with who I choose as friends and as boyfriend or when you do your boyfriend and girlfriend, like you have to look at relationships differently by your past. And I don't want to be like, that's the one, like that could have ended everything and then I didn't do anything I wanted to accomplish. So it's like you sit back and you realize, I was like, all right, fuck it. It doesn't take something tragic to happen or an eye opener to do something I want to do. I'm going to do it, whatever I want to do. And then the only thing that can stop me from doing it is those moments in life where it's like, that could be the end of it,
Yeah.
And if on my tombstone, it says a date and a name, that's it. I know I didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, especially with the people around me. So it's like, I want to start diving into more about how can people ground me, but also make me better.
Yeah.
And I think that's the importance of relationships, is surrounding yourself by people that are going to make you the best you can be and push you to the furthest you can go in life, but also know when you've gone too far. So there's other people in my life who kind of put me in that situation, but it takes an eye opener.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's going to sound a little dark, but I have read a few like obituaries in the past, just of someone's life, what they tried.
Morning read,
like,
just a morning to wake up and just read someone's death.
So who died today? No, but it is interesting to see that idea, and you're like, okay, hopefully this person kind of lived what they wanted or built something out of that. And I just take that idea, like, all right, where am I at right now? If I was on the paper, well, what did I accomplish? What did I work towards? So it's that same idea.
I think we always feel like we're going to live forever until we
For
don't.
sure.
Like when you have an argument with your parents or your friend, and it takes so long for it to to come together, and then when something happens to that person, you regret by not reaching out to them, or you're like, it was so stupid, I held a grudge for so long.
I know me and my stepdad are on better terms now. I go visit him a lot.
Yeah, it's the same thing with my mom. We've suffered from, I guess, just disagreements and misdirection for so long that you become accustomed to it.
Yeah.
But never have I ever got to the point where someone calls me and I don't answer. I'm not the type of person who holds, grudges or does a silent treatment, because wherever they are in their life, I'm not responsible for it.
For sure.
Or they're obviously struggling in their own department, but I can't let negative situations and negative people shape my life, because if I do that and I answer, like, look at the phone and I see a name and I'm like, oh, fuck, you know what he did to me, and then you start creating all these anger and tension. My dream in life is to live every day in a peaceful mindset. And I know it's so simple and it's so easy to say, but when I wake up in the morning, I want to have there's struggles, but it's how I handle it. It's everything how I handle. If I can handle bad moments in my life or negative moments in life at a calm, peaceful manner, and how I can like logically think of something instead of emotionally think of something, it allows me to kind of just, be happier. And then that's my ultimate goal in life, is be happy and make the other people around me happier.
I get you. That makes me think of a quote that I'll pull up real quick. It was a happy person isn't someone who's happy all the time. It's someone who's effortlessly interprets events in such a way that they don't lose their innate peace.
Yeah.
That was from Naval Ravikant.
Really?
Yeah.
What book is it? A book or a quote?
Yeah, it's a book. The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. I hope I'm saying his name right.
No, it's all right. No,
probably not. Either way.
Well, I was giving me this thought in life as I was reading *Sapiens*.
No. Okay.
And it just shows you what human nature is, and it shows like the emotion, and it shows you like the habits and behaviors of what humanity is, and how we relate to animals, and how we do look at life, and how we should be kind of looking at life. And it opens up because it's like such a generalized book, but for some reason it hits you deep inside as a personal commitment. But it gives you like amazing insights and in-depth perspectives of how humanity is. And when you sit back and watch it, you're just like, oh, I'm looking at life completely different. And I think if you surround yourself by the people, you surround yourself with the knowledge, and you surround yourself with goals or challenges, it shapes me better than when I was yesterday.
Yeah, I get you. I think that's a good place to end.
I think we're good to go.
I know we can keep going.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, you guys. Appreciate it. We got some really good interviewees coming up in the next couple of podcasts. Please pay attention to some of these guys. Some of these ladies and guys have kind of reached a lot in their lives. So it's going to be real interesting hearing from them and seeing how they got where they are and who inspired them. To the next one.
Should be
See ya.
Later.